So we heard that you like air intakes on the C8 Corvette, so we put intakes on top of your intakes on top of your intakes. That sounded funnier in my head. At least one person must have gotten that joke. Someone? Anyone? Okay, let's just start the video. What's up guys, thanks for tuning into the channel. So today we're going to be looking at the rear intake ports that you can get for your C8 Corvette, not only for the Stingray, but the Z06 and ERAY as well. And it comes from ACS Composites, which honestly is one of my favorite companies out there that are putting out some pretty cool new products lately, especially, including this one. So with that being said, let's open up this box and see what you get. Slightly move this box. This box is slightly big for this table, but should be not too bad to open. Let's see. Alrighty. Just gonna flip this over real quick. Just gonna open this way up and see what we have. So inside the box we have our instructions manual, which ACS always does provides, which is good, and then a good amount of packaging to keep these safe. I mean, they do a really good job with making sure that these parts are coming to you without any kind of issues from shipping and such. So let's open. Let's go and take this out of the bag. I'm semi-struggling to get this out of the box. All right, let's get out one, and then we'll play with the rest in a second. All right, we're gonna move this slightly this way. All right, so taking a look from the bag, getting it out. Let's see. And of course, I'm like, awesome freaking finish on these. So these rear intake ports are exactly what you think they are. They are secondary intakes that funnel air, free stream air, from the side of your C8 into the actual engine bay. It uses the front vent on the rear hatch to do that. And I know, I recognize that there was a little bit of controversy when this part first got introduced on it potentially causing issues with venting and stuff like that. And I found it actually really important to talk about that in regards to what this does, whether it gives an actual good and true benefit to adding extra airflow into your engine bay, and as well as just the overall looks and stuff like that. Now, my background is in aerospace engineering, and particularly in aerodynamics actually. So this is right in my wheelhouse in regards to explaining why this actually does have some benefit to adding extra airflow and is not causing detrimental airflow in the engine bay. So we'll get to that in a second though. So let's look at the finish first. So it comes naturally in a carbon flash finish, so it will match your OEM trim pieces that you have. And I mean, the finish is absolutely great as always from ACS. I mean, they always do such a good job with these pieces in regards to how they look when overall finish. And this is a pretty rugged piece. I mean, it's not flimsy at all, and it's actually, I mean, the way it's designed and such, it's a true intake. It's got, I don't know if the camera's going to capture it really well, but from here, especially on the backing, you can see this is a true intake that is going to redirect flow into the actual engine bay, and it's actually going to do a pretty good job of that. It's even certain things, even these little ridges right here. So there's little small ridges right here. On the other side is with that, on the other side, there's actually protruding little veins that are actually protruding out onto the actual inlet side, which is helping to redirect the flow of air from the side here into the actual vent, that's going to be going into the engine bay. So it does actually there is true thought process into how this was designed, that it is a functional piece. Now you might be wondering, why would someone want to add extra airflow into their engine bay? And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, in general, extra airflow that's going through the engine bay keeps the engine bay cooler, helps it perform better. Now, for a naturally aspirated car, not probably going to do that much of a difference, but on a supercharged car, this actually might do a little bit of benefit for that. Now, I should probably get to talking about the point of why this piece is actually doing what it's supposed to and not causing a detriment because it's using that front vent on the actual rear hatch. So to put it simply, you have airflow that is coming into the engine bay from the sides and it's being shot up. Now you have the vents that are out on the actual rear hatch that are providing as vents for that airflow to come out, as well as the rear hatch opening on the window. Now that airflow is not coming straight up, it's actually coming at an angle, especially and it's more pronounced as you're going to be driving the car at higher speeds. So what happens is the airflow starts coming in at an angle, and that first vent where this air intake is going to be going into becomes less and less efficient. It's not being used as part of the ventilation, and more of the air is being pushed backwards into the engine bay. So what this part is doing then is using the airflow from the side of the C8 and using that top vent to actually push more airflow through the engine bay and redirect the flow better. The best way I could think of explaining this is either a wind tunnel, or if you're standing in let's say downtown Chicago or somewhere where you have very high rises and you get very high winds that are coming through the buildings, is because that airstream is actually being pushed and squeezed together, for lack of putting it in very simple terms, but it's not being compressed. So the only thing that airflow can do is speed up. So what this is actually doing is creating a secondary layer, so it helps redirect the airflow. So instead of the airflow just going one direction, kind of just like in the fan direction, it's now being redirected more rearwards. Actually has higher wind velocity coming out, which actually means that there's more airflow coming through the engine bay to keep it cool. So this is actually going to be doing what it's designed to be doing. And like I said, it's not something that, if you have a naturally aspirated C8 Corvette, meaning you don't have a supercharger or turbocharger or anything like that on there, the benefits from a functional point of view might not be as beneficial. You might not really see that as much benefit. But if you do have a supercharger or whatnot, this is something that I could see having a lot of good impact on trying to keep that engine bay cool. And honestly, I mean, it's a really cool, unique piece. You're not going to see that many people trying to sport this kind of air intake piece, and frankly, I'm pretty excited to put this on my C8 and have it on there. I think it's going to be really, really cool to have this on there. So this part retails for $1,179 from ACS with the carbon flash finish. You can get it in a primer finish for $100 less, and I believe ACS will take offers to have it painted in any custom color that you want. So if you wanted to have this that it matches, let's say your Sebring orange color on your C8, or Arctic white, or any color for that matter, you can have this correctly matched up so that it matches your main body colors instead of just as an accent piece. So I went with the carbon flash finish because I kind of like the tune tone effect that it'll give on my C8. I like my C8 very, very aggressive looking, very race type looking, so I think this is going to look really good having that two-tone effect. So I'm super excited to install this piece on. It's going to look really, really cool. So let me put this to the side real quick. Let me get the other piece out and we can take a look at that one as well. And yeah, just overall finish on this is on point with how it's supposed to be. I mean, ACS does a phenomenal job with their finishes on these. They look like OEM pieces in regards to their finish. They always do a great job with these. So I don't see any kind of issues with this kind of finish whatsoever. Now, installing these are actually really, really easy. All it's actually taking is, it only takes a singular bolt to be able to actually install this, which goes into the mesh grill area, and then it actually hooks on the side of the rear hatch where this connects to. So this is probably one of the easiest installs you can do. That's gonna take only maybe a minute or two on each side, if that, and you're done. So, and it also works out that it makes it also very easy to take on and off if you ever need to as well. So that's another good point from there that I definitely appreciate, that they've taken that kind of extra look at these and, you know, making sure that these are going to stay on really nicely. So yeah, with that being said, I think it's time to get these on the car and see how it looks. So let's go check that out. Alrighty guys, so we have installed the ACS rear intakes and they look pretty darn good. Now I drove with them for about a week and a half now so far, and from a functional point of view, they actually work pretty good. There has been a pretty significant difference in my engine temperature, about 5-10 degrees from my usual temperature that I see. So in general, on an 80-degree day, I usually would see around 185 for a temperature if I'm just kind of cruising. And it actually went down to like 12 degrees less, to like around 172, which was really amazing. I didn't actually think it would make that much of a difference, but it definitely does. So you can see a difference in them. Now I will say you're obviously going to see more efficiency from those intakes to cool down the engine bay at a higher speed, like if you're on the highway. If you're just kind of standing still, or you're in the city and you're only doing like maybe 30 miles an hour or so, you're not going to see much of a difference. But when you have that air coming through at higher speeds, you definitely see a difference. So I would definitely see this. So I could definitely see this being useful, not only for if you have like a supercharger, but even going to the track. So this would actually be a really cool track day accessory to have, to basically just keep the engine bay just a little bit cooler while you're pushing the car. So I definitely think that it has some good merits and it's pretty stylish. Now the finish on the part is just spot on, especially if you have the carbon flash version of it. But I do think that this piece would be a great opportunity to do like a two-tone effect, that maybe you can do some kind of special designs with it to make it really pop out and stand out. And I might actually just play around with some vinyl just to see what kind of design I could come up with to really make that pop out. But what do you guys think? Do you think this is one of those pieces that could benefit from having like a two-tone effect or a special design? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. Now, when it comes to fitment, these pieces do fit very well. And that's especially interesting because it's not only going over the rear hatch section, but that side vent trim area. So it's going over two separate pieces, but it's looking very, very good. Now I have aftermarket carbon fiber side vent trim pieces, but I still had my OEM trim pieces as well. So what I did is I did take out those trim pieces and replace them with the OEMs to make sure that they do fit on your OEM. So it works for both the aftermarket as well as the OEM trim pieces, that it will line up and you won't have any issues at all. I know it only has really two mounting points. It wraps around the side of that edge, and then you have the one bolt. And initially I thought that it could use maybe one or two more bolts, but that thing is solid. It is not going anywhere. I've tested it in Mexico going $150 and no issues whatsoever. So you definitely don't have to worry about this thing coming off if it's installed properly. So this is a really good solid piece, and it's always the case with ACS Composite. They do a really good job on their pieces that are top quality, best kind of materials you can think of, and overall finishes are really good on them. So I would definitely recommend this piece if you're looking for something to make your C8 stand out, and it actually has some good benefits both for just on the street and on the track. Definitely a good part, and I'm so happy to have this on my C8. And if you're interested in one for yours, I'll have it a link in the description below so you can check it out. In the meantime, check out any of my other videos, and we'll see you next time.